I'm Young, and welcome to K-pop Scribblings. Today I'll be reviewing Possessed by TaecChan. In the following part you can see the most important information about the story before I get to the actual review. It has warnings about smut, horror, and death. This story was written for a writing contest, and the prompts that has been used have been ghosts and demons, cemetery, underground tunnels, and supernatural theme. The story starts in a party setting, where we follow our four characters around the party. We get to know a little about their personalities in this part of the story, but not that much, really. It continues with, on the walk home, they get bored and they don't really know what to do. Nikun tells that he has been spending time with Junke and Junho, and they found this church in the forest. They explore it and find underground tunnels in a grave chamber, and it comes near some near-death experience for Chansung, and that's why Nikun and Wooyoung goes on by themselves. Then they explore some more of the tunnels. They found this secret door that they can open in some way. And then they knock over an urn. And from then on, Wooyoung gets weirdly weird compared to how he usually is. And then he starts with this weird thing going on. And then comes the smut and the killing part in. The story doesn't really have that much of a development. The only change there is as such is from the party to the church to back home into the church again. There isn't really much of a development. It's kind of like you step down into a certain time that you follow, but there isn't really that development in it. Neither for the characters either. The only character that changes just a bit over during the story will be Wooyoung, which will be explained by his possession. Generally, I like the idea of this story. Like, the plotline could have some really great potential in it. But when we come to discuss the language, it is not that interesting anymore. I kind of found this story like the author doesn't really have the connection with the genre. I'm kind of disappointed having read that it is tagged with horror, because there wasn't really built any suspense in it. After reading it for a while, I didn't really see anything more than just words. I didn't really imagine what they were going through, the characters. There weren't really any descriptive words to like build the suspense, give a feeling of the environment that they're walking in. So to be honest, it doesn't really capture you. It doesn't keep you there sitting on the edge of your chair, just fearing what is coming to happen. Which I kind of miss when I see the tag horror. And because there is this lack of descriptive words in the story, I kind of misses the connection to the reader, because the reader doesn't really get captured by it. There are some parts in the story that seem rushed. So it's kind of like the author, I felt like they were on a roll with the story, and then they just kept writing, and forgot to stop up and kind of imagine the situation that they wanted their characters to be in. And because the author didn't really imagine the story as much as I would have liked them to, we don't really get to feel it either. And then there have been some attempts to add humor into the story, which I kind of feel like they haven't been followed through completely. So the humor has kind of been added with the characters kind of teasing each other, but I don't really feel like that the teasing was appropriate at these times and places, given the situation they were in. Neither did I feel like it was all that funny, but I could see the attempt of making it funny. That being said, the author knows her grammar. There have been pretty much no mistakes in it. And the few mistakes that there have been have, I would guess, typos. I would like to read out loud a sentence from the story. It is a very good sentence to explain how the story is written, but it's also not that well, because that is one of the obvious reasons why the story doesn't build suspense. It's because the author kind of tells you what happens and then explains it happens. They walked along one of the walls when they discovered a staircase hidden behind a molded curtain-looking thing. TaecChan makes a face at TaecChan, grabs a hold of it and drags it to the side. So as you can hear here, there's like the beginning of the sentence. It tells you what is going to happen. And then it happens because then TaecChan takes a hold of the curtain and pulls it aside. So yeah, it doesn't really build the suspense. Quite on the contrary, I think it makes the reader aware of what is going to happen, and that way kills the suspense that could possibly have been built. And given this was supposed to be a horror story with a plot that could potentially be ground-shaking, amazing, I think it's a shame that it has been written the way that it has been written. As for some general information about the writing, it has been written as an all-knowing narrator. So they know what every character is thinking, feeling, and believing in at the given point. There isn't really a structure between which character you're seeing it from, so the point of view kind of changes from one person to another without actually any indication. And sometimes even in the same paragraph, it just changes suddenly, which gives reason to confusion sometimes. One thing I noticed that I'm not very pleased about is the change in tenses there have been throughout the story. So it kind of changes from present to past tense, and then back to present, then past, back to present, past tense again. I don't know if you noticed that, but that was also a case in the sentence that I read out before. There you have it all in past tense, and then TaecChan makes a face as TaecChan grabs a hold of it and drags it to the side. There you are in the present tense. And then it changes all the way through, so you don't really get this feeling about being connected with the story, because it changes from something that has happened to something that happens right now. If you don't notice it, that's great, then you have a decent story to read. But as someone who notices her tenses a lot, as I am well aware of, I kind of lose the grab with this story. Overall rating, I would give the plot itself 8 out of 10. But because it has been written the way that it is, I will only give it 3 out of 10. Anyways, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to like it and share it with your friends. Tell more about it. And I'm still looking for more videos to recommend and review. So yeah, I would really like it if you could comment on this video and recommend me which stories that you would like me to make a review of. And please add the link too. And check out my other pages, which will be linked in the description box below.